evening, everyone, or just a fantastic hello in certain parts of the country, wherever you are. It may not be quite evening yet. Welcome to another virtual Cooking Connection cooking class. We're excited you're here with me. I'm Scott, your host tonight. We've got a great show for you tonight. A lot of great stuff, a lot of great recipes to show you. First of all, introduce our moderator. With me, as always, the lovely Charlotte Samuel, Chef Charlotte. Chef, thanks for being here with me. Thanks for hanging out. It's been exciting. Thanks. Moderating, give you the voice in the chat. If you have any questions, you can always ask Charlotte. What's that?
Yes, I'm just thanking you. I'm thanking you excessively.
As per usual, if this is your first virtual cooking class, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We don't like to take ourselves too seriously here. I like to have a few laughs, and along the way, show you some great tips and tricks to add to your culinary toolbox. Today is all about brunch. I'm really excited because it's all about brunch, but it's all about a Mother's Day brunch. It's all about Mother's Day preparation and a great menu to do for Mother's Day. So first of all, for all the moms in the house, Charlotte included, happy Mother's Day, happy pre-Mother's Day. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, I hope you had a fantastic Mother's Day. But right now, for those of you that are here joining us live, happy Mother's Day in advance. We hope you have a great Mother's Day. And to a very special new shout out to the new moms that just had a new addition to the family this year. If you're a new mom, find yourself celebrating Mother's Day for the first time, very happy, a very special happy Mother's Day to you guys as well. So let's get started. Okay, so a lot of stuff to do today. This is going to be like a typical episode. We're going to do another Iron Chef style gauntlet, what we'll do, and then we're going to have 4 recipes we're going to get through today. I'm going to be running, I'm going to be sweating, I'm going to be doing it all in the name of culinary science for you guys and learning and education for us. So we've got a great menu. So in front of you, you should have the following recipes. And if you don't have these recipes, we'll make adjustments to get them to you real quick. We're going to start off first with our Italian prosciutto and egg avocado toast. Now, Charlotte said earlier, I said, are people kind of tired of the avocado toast? Like, avocado toast. I'm like, well, my question is, does an avocado ever become like, is it ever like an out of style? It's like delicious on everything. You mash it and throw jalapenos and some cilantro and whatever, and it's guacamole. You smash it on bread. If the toast bothers you, avocado toast seems too much. Let's just call it avocado on crostini, little crostini, or avocado on fettunta. We're going to do kind of a fettunta style Italian, or Charlotte said Italian, or a little Spanish trick to ours. We're going to rub a little garlic on our toasted bread. It's going to be delicious. Some prosciutto over the top. To go on top of that, our egg. Now, the recipe for this, since we're doing eggs 2 ways today, we're actually going to do 2 eggs for 2 different styles of dishes. I'm going to do 1 egg, the poached egg, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to demystify the poached egg. If you have trouble poaching eggs, or you're just like, I don't like to do it, it's a mess, I don't know how, it always gets everywhere, it's runny, I'm going to show you pro tips, my restaurant tips from working plenty of brunches, 250 covers, like how do you make this work, how do you make it all last. I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks that I know. What's in here, like it or not, is going to be in your living room right now. All the great stuff, so all that stuff I'm going to share with you, how to poach eggs, how to make them ahead. You may or may not know you can get ahead for Mother's Day or any special event you want to do, any brunch, whether it's Dad's Day or whatever. You can make these ahead of time. You can poach them, you can put them in the fridge. I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. It may seem weird to be like, how do you cook poached eggs ahead of time and throw them in your fridge? I'm going to show you the whole thing. I'm going to demystify the whole thing. It's all going out the window.
I think this is great. I think this is great.
Showing
People
it all.
always want to know, how do they do it in the restaurant? How do they do it in the restaurant?
Exactly. How do you make it?
I'm
going to show you all my tips and tricks. Also, we've got a great thing because it is Mother's Day. If you're cooking with the kids want to help out, we've got a great recipe. It's kind of our cheater recipe. So we've got some stuff from scratch. We've got something that's really fun. We're going to call it our baked peach fritters. Really, really simple. So we're going to use a store-bought cinnamon roll, and I'll show you why in a little bit. Some peaches. Now, if you find yourself making this and you're like, hey, the peaches aren't here yet, where do I get them? Don't worry, I couldn't find them either. You just went and got to the frozen peaches. I just use frozen peaches. They're just as good. When you can use fresh peaches, use them. When not, use frozen peaches. It works just the same, and especially in time for Mother's Day. Baked peach fritters, really, really simple. That'll get started after the avocado toast. Next, crispy potato brick with poached eggs. It sounds a little weird. Crispy potato brick. It is exactly a crispy potato brick. I'm going to show you how to do it. It's like everything good, French fries, especially when you talk about potatoes and how to make really good French fries. It's a par-cook process, so it's a double-cook process. So we're going to start by par-cooking the potatoes, and then we'll eventually fry it. I'm going to do a shallow fry because there's nothing worse than you got your hands full. It's Mother's Day. You got a lot of stuff going on. You got people coming over. You're just entertaining, or small group, big group, whatever it is. You're trying to make all this. Last thing I want you to have to do is heat up a giant Dutch oven full of oil, and then at the end of it, you're like, what do I do with all this oil sitting here? You're like, I guess I'll just fry everything for the next 3 days and filter it out. You could, but I'm going to show you a really easy technique. I'm going to use our cast iron Cocina-ware skillet, our cast iron skillet, and just fry shallow fry, which means we're just going to fry it on one side, flip it over, fry it, finish it out. It's perfect, and that we don't have to use copious amounts of oil and dirty the entire kitchen. And I'm going to do poached egg, which is going to go on top of that, crispy bricks. We'll start with in the oven. I'll show you exactly how to do that. 4 simple ingredients you can see, which seems impossible, but it's all about technique, and it's all about how we're going to cook it and then how we're going to fry it. So, all right, the last thing, which I feel like any good brunch needs, some kind of, yes, we have a sweet with our cinnamon roll. We're going to make a homemade buttermilk pancake with our maple caramel sauce. So imagine, if you will, pillowy pancakes. You're going to make them. I'm going to show you how to. And then along with that, you're going to have this beautiful, thick maple caramel sauce. That starts with 3 ingredients. A little salt. Of course, you're going to have salt with the sweet. Maple syrup, a little bit of butter. That gets reduced. All the extra liquid and water evaporates out of it, and you get this kind of thick, viscous caramel sauce to go over the top of your pancakes.
Yes.
Nom, 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 nom. Okay, so that's going to happen. We're going to do that. So we're going to get started. I think we're ready. You have your recipes. If you're doing this with me, fantastic. We'll do it together. If not, don't forget, you can always go back. When we post this video, you can always go back and rewatch this over and over and over again. I'm going to try and go as slow as I can. We'll focus, we'll dial it in, and we'll knock out this brunch, and we'll make you a hero on Mother's Day. All right, here we go.
And don't forget,
so,
I'm here. I'm here in the chat.
So
if you guys have
any questions you have, she will be in the chat. You're going to stay for the whole thing, I'm assuming? You don't have to run out? Nothing pressing you got to do?
Nope, I'm here.
You're going to stay the whole... All right, she's here for the whole thing. You heard it. We're doing it. All right, let's start with our... well, I'm going to start with this first. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to put this on deck. This is our peach fritter. It's on deck. I'm going to show you the avocado because I want to get the avocado thing kind of knocked out. Now, the avocado toast. I'm going to show you one of my very, very favorite tricks to making avocados. So, now, when you talk about taking avocados out of the shelves, and remember, if you haven't watched, I like to touch all the avocados in the store to find the perfect avocado. So my hands have been all over every avocado. Just know that. Just know that that's how I do it. I got to test every avocado to make sure I find the perfect avocados.
Friendly reminder, please wash all your produce when you bring it home.
Well, the good thing is you're not going to eat an avocado skin, right? I got to be like, I mean, if you do, great. I don't know how you're, I mean, it's got to be, I consider that massive roughage and stuff that you don't want to probably eat. You want to get the inside only. So I'm just lightly squeezing the avocados, making sure I know which one I want. So here's how we're going to do this. So the avocado, of course, so how I pick an avocado. Now, some of my telltale signs for avocados I'm going to grab. If you pick up an avocado, I like jumbos. If you like large or small, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing across the board. If you feel the avocado as you're kind of pressing on it, if you feel there's like a skin bubble or like an air bubble in it, I tend to avoid those. I feel like that's some of the ones that get ripe and some of those gases come off. I want something that's tight all the way around where the skin's not bubbling up or you don't feel any indentions and anything. It's all pretty tight. And when you squeeze it, it's not like if I were to squeeze it, it's just going to go and pop everywhere. But I want it soft enough to where it has a little give but still feels pretty solid. And that's how I pick my avocados. There's no like special, I'd love to tell you I put it against my temple and I get this thing and then it speaks to it and I'm like, yeah, that's the one. There's no special way to do it. I just squeeze the avocados. That's the only way to do it.
My dad is also good at picking out avocados.
Is he?
He always gets one that has like the tiny little seed. So maximum avocado, minimum seed.
Like that one?
He's good at it.
Like that little guy right there. So if you happen to see Chuck at your local HEB, you tell Chuck, hey Chuck, will you pick me out a couple of avocados for me?
I'll do it for you.
Find the person that's doing like the same thing in watermelons as I'm flinging my knife at you. You find watermelons where there's always that one person that's kind of like the watermelon whisperer, like the fruit whisperer.
Yes.
They're kind of like thumping them and tapping them, and just go ask that person, be like, hey, what are you doing over there? Will you pick one up for me? And then you get home and you find out it's the wrong one. You're like, great. I'll never trust that guy or that girl again. So learn to do it on your own. I got some great tips. That's my tip. Edge of the knife in. Okay, let me do it again. I want to make sure from the sky cam, so sharp knife, please, please, please don't take your avocados out like this, point side down. You could if you're really, really skilled, then go for it. But the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to slide off the little thing and go right into the meat of your hand, and then you'll forever know that Mother's Day was the time you got 16 stitches in the flesh of your thumb. So take the heel of your knife so your blade and your point is up, and just give it a little notch, just right there. And see how I can kind of leave don't do this, but I'm just doing it for you. You can kind of turn it. Now, if you find your pit doesn't release easily, you can always remove it and take it out. This one comes out pretty easily. Again, we picked the right avocado. So from here, don't do this, because then this is really, really slippery. It's got all that, obviously avocado meat all over it. Don't do this. Just simply with your thumb, just push it off. So you're pushing away from the blade. Does that make sense? Away from the blade, right into your hand, right into the garbage can. And from here, So the reason why I have this fantastic K&T cooling rack, it's a baking cooling rack, but it's a dual purpose in my kitchen. K&T right now, if you haven't been into your local HEB that has a really nice GM department, there are some great buys and some really economical and cheap buys that are fantastic. The K&T baking cooling rack is one of them. You'll notice I put the rack over a bowl. So I'm going to scoop this out. If I've done this before, then you're an old pro at this, but I'm going to take our flesh of and that's okay, the skin's kind of peeling off. I'm just going to basically scoop the avocado out of here the best I can. I like to get all of the avocado out. I leave nothing to chance.
You know, the other thing I like about this particular rack is that the way the grid, the way it's spaced, sometimes you get the one that has a really fine mesh and you can never clean it. You can never clean it.
It's absolutely right. Yeah, if you're cooking bacon, I love to cook bacon on a rack, and with a small, like she just said, it's impossible because that little stuff just kind of grabs all those little grooves in there. So I'm going to put this on top of the on the rack. Nothing's happening yet. Nothing magical to see yet, but stay with it. The other one just gets scooped out. Everything gets on there. All right. So now at this point, you're going to want to take about a 6.5-hour nap or a walk. Gravity is going to eventually pull this through into the bowl, and it's the best. No, you're not going to do that. All you're going to do is just mash it through here. Reason why we're doing that is because the recipe calls for you to mash it up with a fork until it's all perfectly mashed. But why do that when you can just use your rack? This gets washed, this gets dried, it gets put back, it's ready to make cookies, and the next time you use it, I'm going to dry off my hand here. Really, really simple. And the reason why I like to do that is because you'll notice on the rack, there's all these, just like she said, these perfect squares. So it's going to dice for me. I don't have to worry about trying to cut it up or trying to scoop it out with a knife. All I'm going to do is just put it through the rack, and then voila, very, very simple.
If you have little people, little ones, that's something that they could definitely do without having to get a knife involved.
They'll love slamming their hand on the avocado, pushing it through there. And you could use more avocado, you can use less. To this mixture, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of lemon juice. If you happen to have an HEB near you that does the fresh juice program, this is a time saver. It's also fantastic. It's also easy to add to your cocktails or whatever. Just a little splash of lemon juice. So the lemon juice is dual purpose for this. Number one, it's going to add flavor to, a little acid is a flavor to the actual dish. We're going to have, remember, the avocado. We've got the egg, the yolk, all that stuff. We got the bread. So there's all this stuff. We want a little bit of acid to kind of cut through some of that. So that's what's going to do that. It's also going to keep our avocado from browning, which is another big piece. I need my salt and pepper, which is right over here. That's real simple. Salt, pepper, lemon juice, olive oil, and then it's a real quick toss. Same spoon we used. Now, this is my one way to do this. When we're actually plating later on this evening, I'm going to show you another way that I found out Charlotte also likes to do her avocados that way when she's making an avocado crostini. Not a toast, it's a crostini. All right, see how that's all so much easier? And to think you were going to sit here and try and mash that. Don't do that. Just go through the whole cookie sheet. All right, here we go. Into the fridge this goes for later. That is in there. All right, right now, we're turning our attention. The avocado's done. I'm going to let that soak up some flavor. I'm going to put this dirty dish over
Scott,
here.
I want to address this really quickly.
Yes.
Before, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, when did avocado toast become a thing?
Right.
Okay, it was just toast with avocado.
Right.
So they just flipped it around and put avocado first.
Toast.
So it was just toast with avocado.
Yeah, because it'd be weird to put if here's my toast, it'd be weird if I was the toast was on. That doesn't make sense.
5 years ago, we just called it, I'll have some toast with avocado,
I'll have some toast with avocado.
Now it's I'll have avocado
Now
toast.
it's a whole thing. All right, like I said, all right, baked peach fritters. Great recipe to get the kids involved on this, and you can get them involved on it or in it, however you want to do it. Again, if you don't find yourself in the season where peaches are fresh and they're sweet and you want to use them, just use, these are great. I just let them thaw out, chop them up. They're perfect the exact same way. Again, our frozen peaches are picked at the peak of their freshness, frozen, and they're ready to go any time of year. That's why I like to use them. So for this recipe, there's 3 ingredients: the cinnamon rolls, the peaches, and the sparkle sugar. You have to have the sparkle sugar. This is what the importance of this Mother's Day recipe is. The sparkle sugar doesn't melt in the oven. It just makes this beautiful kind of crunchy, sugary shell to it, which is fantastic. Now, the recipe, as I have tested it, calls for the bigger cinnamon rolls. You don't have to use these. Whenever possible, I go with organic. You don't have to. If you don't believe in that, don't worry, whatever we want to use. But you want to go with this size, the big size, versus this size.
Okay.
You can use this size. Totally fine. Just know you'll have to kind of adjust the recipe of the amount of peaches you're doing. Still will work great, but I think this works better, and I'll show you why in a second. The bigger ones, whatever brand you want to go with, works better because it makes a special thing for mom. So I'll show you that in a second. All right, I'm going to use the one that calls in the recipe, so you're going to do this with me. So I got my peaches. I have my parchment-lined sheet pan ready to go. Who gets nervous when they open one of these that it's going to like, it's like the Jack in the Box, like boom, and blows up on you? One of the reasons I also like to use this particular variety is that it's less apt to do the, like, as you're rolling it, blow it up. You got to kind of, you know, give it some help. See?
What does Sean call them? Womp. Womp. Because when you hit it, womp biscuits, because when you hit it on the side, it makes the womp sound. That's what he...
Womp, womp. Yeah. Just sounds like a busted can of biscuits.
There, see? That's the womp sound.
Womp.
Okay.
Womp. Okay, now, this is exactly what you're going to expect when you open any of these. And I've done it with all of these. You're going to open it up, and because you are dealing with a raw refrigerated dough, sticky butter, sticky sugar, they're not just going to come out perfectly, and that's totally fine. They're going to be kind of a mess. They may fall apart. I'm going to show you exactly. No big deal. Save that frosting. We're going to use that in a second. If I could get the frosting out of here. Wait for it. There's the frosting. There it is. There's my frosting. That goes in the trash. Hands get wiped on the apron. That's why it's there. All right. Our icing goes over here. Our cinnamon rolls. So we're just going to break these up. I'm going to break these guys up here. So just, you know, overhead cam, you can see, like, just kind of reform it. It'll be fine. They're going to bake up. Remember, there's yeast in this. There's leavener in this. This is gonna all look fine once it all gets done, I promise you. We got the bullseye in the center here. Yeah. These actually were good. Now, I've had ones where in the past when I'm testing this recipe, and it happened this week in general a lot, where they were like falling apart, ripped, whatever. And it's no particular brand. They all kind of do it. It just depends on how they're, you know, packaged in final. So this is, it's a little ugly. It's no problem. Let's just rewrap it. No big deal. And then you can lick your fingers. It's raw dough. Don't let the kids do that. Cinnamon, sugar on the hands. All right, so now we have this is our base. So normally if you're going to make like an apple fritter, if you've ever gone to a donut shop, apple fritters, right, they have all that stuff. They smash it into the actual donut dough and they fry it, so you get all those little pieces of apple kind of everywhere. If you find yourself going, Scott, I hate fruit. I don't want to do fruit. I'm skipping this recipe with other fruit. Don't skip it. Just don't use the peaches, because I'm going to show you how to score this, because what's really cool about scoring it this way is it's going to kind of be a nest to hold the peaches as you're pushing them down, and we're going to press them down there. And it's not going to look pretty at first, but as it bakes, obviously because of the leavener, because of steam, because of the yeast, it's going to kind of cradle everything and kind of open up, and it looks really pretty, and I'll show you in a second. So I'm going to take a sharp knife. I'm just going to score it. You want to go, I'm going maybe a quarter of the way down.
Okay.
If you go too far, don't worry about it. It's still going to be fine. Just go about it, just kind of aim for like a quarter to a halfway down. I'm just going to kind of like just hash marks. So just cutting it like this. I'm going to cut it one time that way. If you want to cut it more, you can. This is really all you'll need, though. Again, be very careful. Sharp knife. Just drag it across. That's all you're going to need. It's just like when they use a lamb when they score bread. That's all you're doing to this, is you're going to do it so it kind of, you know, puffs up. Puffs up. Okay, so this is where we're at. So if you stopped right here and you were like, I don't want to do peaches, totally fine. I want to show you what you get from this. So I'm going to move this out of the way just real quick to make a point. For Mother's Day, store-bought cinnamon rolls, you can make them special because when they bake, once you score them, this is no fruit in these, you get this pretty little flower.
Look how cute that is.
Right? You see an over top? This is overhead cam. So that's really pretty. And then when you put the icing on it, you've got these little cinnamon roll flowers. Come on, that's fun.
That's great.
I'm not this guy that does this stuff normally. This was done off of fail and me trying to make a fritter. And I was like, you know, it kind of looks like a flower. I was like, so just go with that and just, hey, if you don't want to do the peach fritter, just make a couple of cinnamon roll flowers for Mom. All right, so, but now we're going to add the cinnamon rolls. Where's my gloves? This is getting messy work here. All right, so all we're going to do is just as much or as little as you want, peach-wise, right? So we're going to put some in there. I got some. Smash it in. That's all you're doing. So as I smash it, where we cut it kind of starts to open up a little bit. I don't know if you can see the sky cam. I don't know where I'm smashing these in. A little moisture in there. Smash it all in there. It'll kind of nestle right in there. And as it puffs up and bakes, you'll see what happens. Now these only need, depending on what kind of cinnamon roll you're going to use, they're only going to need, 18 to 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, depending on your oven. All right, this all goes out of the way.
I really like this, and I really like that, you can make the dough from scratch if you want. You can make the schmear from scratch
100%.
if you want. But sometimes,
recipes online.
you're doing it with kiddos, right?
Yeah,
or sometimes you don't have a lot of time, and I think this is fantastic.
And the sparkle sugar, is this my open one? Nope, this is my open one. Sparkle sugar. This is where you can't be outdone with this. So we sell sparkle sugar at most HEBs I've been in. We sell these. This is going to be where all the other cake decorating, frostings, cake mixes, all that stuff is going to be in that same spot. You'll find the sparkle sugar. They sell a rainbow-colored sparkle sugar, but I just like the plain old white. It just gives it that little sheen. This is something the kids can go crazy on. Sprinkle on these. Gotta have the sprinkles. Banana bread.
There's some banana bread.
So. Thank you. This is good for everything. Like anything you want to do, scones, bread, anything like that. Like it's perfect to have that little kind of like crunchy sugar top to it. All right, that's it. This is the first thing done into the oven. Don't worry, we're going to get a lot more chefy. I promise. That's just a really simple, easy way to kind of go. Hey, how do we hack this for a sweet? It's super simple. It shows you took the time, right? Mom will be super excited. You're like, hey, you made them into little flowers, and you're like, anything for you, Mom, right? Anything for Mom. All right. So we're going to move on to the caramel sauce. We got to get our caramel sauce going for the pancakes. So we'll make our buttermilk pancakes later because the pancake batter, you can make this ahead of time. You can let it rest, or you can make it the day you plan on using it, like literally an hour before you plan on using it, and just go straight live. The great thing about what I'm going to show you later using our griddle is fantastic for pancakes because literally it takes like maybe a minute a pancake. It's super fast. You can do a lot at one time. So caramel sauce. First of all, we're going to hit the stove cam. Stove cam, Rob. Stove cam live. All right. Maple syrup, butter, salt. That's it. About 2 cups of maple syrup. Again, this seems like a lot of maple syrup. However, don't forget that we're going to be reducing this, so the overall amount of syrup you're going to have is going to be way less than what was in the jar here. What we started with. I'm going to add a little bit more because I like a lot of syrup. I've got a little extra here.
My mom, growing up, would always put butter and syrup together in the microwave.
It's so good. All right, so Willard was onto something. All right, we're going to take, so we need 1.5 sticks of butter. I'm going to take our half stick, which is the 2 ounces. I'm going to put it right in here. I'm going to turn that over. So because we are making, in essence, a caramel, you don't want to leave, and maple syrup obviously is sugar. You do not want to leave this unattended over really high heat because I promise you, the fireworks and the Vesuvius that will happen, that will be napalm maple sugar all over your stove, will not be something you want to clean up during Mother's Day. So I like to keep this at kind of like a medium low to low heat and just let it go. Keep an eye on it, Charlotte. You're going to be my eyes on that?
Yes, I got you.
Keep an eye on it. And if it starts bubbling, just throw something at it or me. I'm going to go, no trash can over there.
I'm sorry, I was answering your question. What did you ask me to do, Chef? What am I watching? What did I agree to?
You're going to watch my, you like how she agreed to something she didn't even know what it was. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. This is the story of my life. All right, here we go. A little salt in there, let that go. All right, so that is done. That's going to reduce, that's going to go, and we'll see a little bit later what that looks like. All right, buttermilk pancakes. All right, potato brick. So the potatoes, it is literally 2 ingredients. It's 2 pounds of potatoes, which is, if you have a hard time kind of finding, like, and I know this happens a lot. I know it's going to be frustrating for those that like to follow recipes. And like, if you have a recipe stuff where you're like, hey, I need 2 pounds or 3 pounds, they call for a specific amount, and you go to the store and you're like, nothing comes in this weight. Nothing comes in this weight. I made sure that I did this for you easily. This is 2 pounds. This is our Lone Star russet potatoes. I've seen these at pretty much 99% of the stores. If they don't have them, just figure it's basically 4 medium-sized russet potatoes is what you're using. That's good enough. Now, this is 2 pounds. It's also got the skin on it. That's the weight of it. Don't worry, we're going to peel the skin off. So that's about what you're looking for. So 4 potatoes, really, really easy to do. I'm going to grab my sheet pan here. All right, so I've gone ahead and peeled the potatoes ahead of time because I was trying to save myself some time here. And you guys don't want to watch me peel a bunch of potatoes. You want to watch me grate potatoes, but not peel potatoes. All right, so I'm going to take a towel. I'm going to take a clean towel. So the key to the potato brick is the starch. So you can see right now that I do have the potatoes in water. However, when I grate them, all the starch that's in the entire potato, that's going to be the glue that's going to hold kind of our brick together, and later we're going to be frying that. So you want to keep as much starch in as you can. So I'm going to wring out a lot of liquid from the potatoes, but I'm not going to like wring out everything and then rinse underwater. You don't want to rinse these underwater. This is not that potato dish to do this with. You want to do it quickly. The potatoes will start to brown and oxidize immediately as soon as you start to take them out. Don't worry about it. You're going to form into a brick. I'll show you. You're just going to do this quickly. You're going to throw it in the oven. Once they're in the oven and you've par-cooked them, you've got time. That way you can park them in the fridge. You'll let them cool, and that way a day ahead of time, they're done. All you got to do is pull them out of the fridge, cut them, and then fry them à la minute. À la minute, the last minute, French word, great word. All right, so I'm going to grate our potatoes here. So box grater, doesn't matter what kind of cheese grater you have. I just go on the largest setting. If you want to go smaller, you can. I like the bigger setting. Hash browns is what you're looking for. Just think of a hash brown, a congealed hash brown, fried to perfection.
It's like a giant tater tot.
It basically is. It's a brick tater tot.
You are making a giant tater tot, and I am so excited about it.
So many times over the past, I think this is definitely a crowd pleaser at my house. And it's so simple because I'm not adding any eggs. If you want to, like if you want to turn this into a tater tot, you could add like eggs and garlic powder and all that stuff and just kind of form them with a little bit of flour. I don't want to do that. I want this to be like a good French fry, like really like good russety, potatoy flavor with just salt. That's
russety?
It.
We just invented a word.
That's a word. That's a real thing. If you look up the term russety, I'm sure there's probably what it means on the dictionary. Or it has a picture of me and they're like, does not exist. Well, that's fine too.
So just like a good French fry, right? So like the double cook, right?
Yep.
So when you do a French fry or a frite, you would blanch it, right, in the oil first, let it cool,
initial cook.
And then you would fry it again.
Mesmerizing you about with the grating of the potato.
I'm like, he's gonna do his knuckles.
Which is exactly right. So if you were to fry a French fry one time, if you were to cut French fries and you were to fry them one time, you'll notice they'd be really, really brown.
Tompkins, I want to see what you're doing. I'm sorry, I'm looking through my screen. Can you move that oil out of the way so the folks at home can get a really good shot of that?
There you go. Boom.
There. They want to see you grate your knuckles.
They want to see me grate my knuckles.
Just in case, I didn't want to miss that.
Not today. Not today. I've done it so many times. Usually when I do it on a box grater, like a cheese grater like this, usually the cut is pretty bad because I'm going stupid fast. Which is also, be careful, because even though it's a cheese grater, it'll still cut you. All right, so you see what I'm doing here. So I've got my potatoes, wipe my hands off here, get the excess potato out of the way. There's a lot of liquid in this, a lot of liquid, right? So I'm going to hold my kitchen towel up. I'm just going to wring this back into here. Our potato water. So if you look at the sky cam, you'll notice how it's getting really, really cloudy. It's a lot of starch in these potatoes. So I'm going to wring out as much as I can, but again, I'm not going to rinse this, and a little bit of the water is good. So once I get to the point where, you can probably see it now, where it's starting to kind of give less and less water, you don't need to keep bringing this out to kill it. Just kind of, we're going to call that good. Good enough. Move this over here. That's what you don't want to do is like, if I'm the guy walking with the potato water and I spill it all over myself, it's like, cool, now I got starchy potato water everywhere. Get to wear that around. All right, look at this. There's our ball of potatoes.
Look at that.
Oh, wah, wah. But that's all right. See, I fail often, so I don't have to, keep failing, right? All right, here we go. So I'm going to pull this. Doesn't matter how this comes onto the sheet pan. You're going to pull it together in a mound, and then we're going to form it. I like to use either a bench scraper, like one of those flat bench scrapers. We sell a great one at H-E-B if you have a GM store near you. I like to use just a flat spatula. One of these guys, just a flat spatula, just totally fine. Anything you can get to form it into a brick. I'm going to press it down a little bit. If you make this too thick, two things can happen. If it's too thick, or you decide to do, if you've got like a 9x9 casserole dish or whatever, and you want to form it in there, you can. Just be aware if it's really, really thick, or you've got a really, a big bulbous piece of potato in there, you want to make it as even as possible because it may affect, if it doesn't get it properly par cooked in the oven, when you go to fry it, you may have a little crispy piece in there, or a little kind of raw piece. Okay. Not a big deal. For the most part, it should be pretty well fried, but just kind of know that, if you're going to make it a little bit thicker, just cook it a little bit longer. And honestly, it will not hurt to cook it longer anyway. The time says 30 to 35 minutes. If you went 30 to 45 minutes, you'd be fine as well. So you kind of see like there's no, and you can see like, you see a little color, Rob. I don't know if you can see a little browning in there.
Could I put like cheese in this?
You could. I tried to put a couple things in it. It doesn't fry right.
Okay, because
I did grated onions. I did a couple different things, and it just doesn't. It's better to add that afterward. Like add your cheese afterward, throw it in the oven or whatever, because it just doesn't do as well.
Oh, like a Waffle House kind of thing where it's like smothered
covered. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
You're speaking a lot of people's language right now. That's smothered covered stuff.
I mean,
those hash browns. All right, that's it. I don't season this. I do nothing. It goes right into my oven with the cinnamon rolls. Boom. Look at those cinnamon rolls. I didn't even set a timer for myself. I'm smelling them. I'm smelling that. I'm going to move this big bowl of water out of here. All right, so the potatoes are in the oven. Those are cooking off. Now, when I said you could make this in advance, I'm going to show you. I meant it. I'm going to pull all this out of here. I'm going to use this again for my pancakes. All right, so make ahead, right? We talked about making ahead. So I have poached eggs I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you ones that I made ahead. Now, for all intents and purposes, I did make mine this morning, and they've been sitting in the fridge all day, but I'd normally... Let's pretend this is Sunday, and I'm going to cook breakfast for my mom. Like, here I have my poached eggs that I made yesterday. They're totally fine. If I were to leave my eggs in there overnight, nothing's going to happen to them. They're in water, they're cold, they're done cooking, they're just sitting there. All I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to reawaken the poached eggs that you've already done, and then also poach new ones, and I'm going to give you my trick. And Charlotte and I are going to take you through a couple things right now. But I have, how am I doing on, I'm good on time, I think.
Yeah, you got plenty of time, Chef.
So I have the buttermilk pancake batter I'm going to make the last second, a la minute. That's going to be one of the last things. The fritters are in the oven. Avocado I've already got. The toast I've already got. The caramel sauce is going.
I'm supposed to tell you to check on that, I think.
Poached eggs. You darn right. No, we're good. See, the Sky Camel shows I'm on low heat, so I don't have to go crazy. I'm going to turn it up a little bit just to get it going. All right, so right now, I'm going to turn my oil on for my potatoes. So I like to do, when I do the crispy brick of potato, I have a fantastic, and I encourage you to go get one of these. It's like, I think it was like $13. It was the little Cocina-ware 8 to 9 inch cast iron skillet. I fill it with like a cup of oil, and I just fry them in batches. I just go, it's like 5 minutes aside once they come out of the oven. Once they're cooled, throw them in there. Really, really simple. It's super easy to do. And that way, I have a plate resting, set up, ready to go. As they drain, once they come out of the oven, just like a good French fry, season it hot. That way the salt sticks to it. It'll get all nice and salty, and just kind of like, it'll just kind of melt in there and do it. I like we talk about salt a lot. I like a lot of salt. A salt person. Kosher salt is my go-to. I don't really do iodized, but for this application on potatoes, I do like a finer sea salt because it kind of gets into those nooks and crannies a little more, so it's actually really good. So a sea salt's fine. If you don't have sea salt, kosher salt's good. But you need salt on potatoes because, again, there's nothing else in this except the potato, right? All right, so poached eggs.
It's like a French fry or a potato chip. I mean, it's like salt, oil, potato.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So this is a container of poached eggs. Now, it may not look that appetizing, but we're going to reawaken these. Now, I have 3 pans on the stove here. I've got one for my frying of potatoes, one for my poaching liquid, and I have one smaller one, and that is my, I'm going to call it the awakening vessel. So I have this little pan. This is, again, a K&T pan. I've been big into French omelets lately, and this is a fantastic pan if you're going to do French omelet. What is a French omelet? It is an omelet with 0 color, so it's really, really creamy, it's very milky, and it's fantastic, and it's just like kind of very gently cooked. And typically in France, when they make a French omelet, they use a fork on a nonstick skillet, which most people would say, don't use a fork at that, but that's how you get the curd to set a certain way. So I love that in this pan specifically. I also love this for reawakening our poached eggs because this is about 1 quart of water. So I'm going to just fill it up. You just want enough water in this so that when you put the egg in, it actually is completely submerged. I'm going to turn on about medium-low heat, the same heat as this. This has been going for almost 30 minutes, my pan over here, and it's not at a simmer, it's not at a boil, it's just a hot water. Reason why we don't want my caramel's boiling though. Turn that down a little bit. So the reason why we don't want this to boil, you don't want to cook the poached eggs fast because if this is boiling, imagine when you put that really delicate egg white, all the yolk in there, this starts boiling, it's going to like push all that stuff around. You're going to have this like wispy, like, ghost thing, which is not good. Ghost, nobody wants the wispy.
Please do that again.
Wispy. The wispy ghost thing. So we don't want that. So we want a really nice.
So the next class is going to be a dance class. We're teaching a dance class.
And you want to get me started on that? I'll burn this whole place down dancing all day with my super sweet ghost dance. So we want to make it. It's a very nice it's a very calm water, not simmering. If it gets to a simmer, that's totally fine. You can just kind of keep it like just a bare simmer or a little bit below. The time it's going to take to cook the eggs is not going to be that long. I'm starting with room temperature eggs. It doesn't matter if you're going to do cold or hot. Charlotte had a good point earlier. Fresh eggs are better, though. Fresh eggs do make a better poached egg. The fresher, the better. Room temperature eggs versus cold eggs just means less cooking time. If I go straight from the fridge to the poaching liquid, it's going to take a little more time, obviously, because the egg is cold, right? I like room temperature because it kind of cooks a little more evenly. Everything kind of cooks a little faster. But again, it's not about speed. It's about making sure it's very pretty and it's just a perfect poached egg. All right, so I have right here. Now, if you were to go to culinary school, those that have gone to culinary school, when they teach how to poach an egg, they use a pan similar to this guy right here I have my caramel in, a tall pot, right? And they have water.
Yes.
And you add your vinegar. I'm going to add vinegar. To me, I don't care what kind of vinegar you use. You just need some kind of vinegar because vinegar helps set the egg. And it'll help keep the egg from being all wispy. It'll kind of help
helps the proteins coagulate.
Yeah, coagulation is key. So if you were in culinary school and they were doing it, they would show you a big pot of water and you'd add the vinegar. And you're going to, the amount of vinegar depends on the amount of water. I tend to do about I would say go with a tablespoon per probably 2 to 3 cups, do that. I don't notice the vinegar. I don't think it's that big a deal to notice a little bit of vinegar flavor. I don't think it's that bad. I just like the setting factor, so I would say that's a pretty good ratio. But they would have you swirl the water, right? They take a spoon, you swirl the water. The reason why they have you swirl it is because it creates a vortex. And you drop 1 egg into this pot about this size, and the vortex spins the egg and kind of wraps that white, those kind of wispy ends we talk about, like around itself to make a really pretty yolk. The problem is, when you go from culinary school to a restaurant, you could get stabbed doing every poached egg like that because every 5 minutes you're making 1 poached egg. So it's about practical like applications once you go, hey, how do I do this fast and how do I do multiple at one time and not be like, oh my gosh, I can only do 1 at a time for this. Because you don't want to do that on Mother's Day either. If you got to poach 1 egg every 5 minutes, you're going to be like, I quit.
Yeah.
We're doing hard-boiled, everybody. That's how we're going to do this. We're rolling with hard-boiled. So that's the reason why I have this guy. So this is it doesn't have to be this one. It can be any little small mesh, the fine mesh sieve. And you're going to crack the eggs into it. And the little wispies that would kind of be caught and kind of flow around are going to flow through this sieve. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, like, you're going to put an egg in that, it's going to eventually, the whole thing is going to drip out. It won't. You think it might, but it won't. And it's a cool trick, and I'm going to show you right now. So I'm going to put the egg in here. I'm going to take 1 egg. I'm going to crack it in there. I'm going to move that guy. And so I want you to see this as I'm going. How much is dripping through there? Not a lot, right? So very little. So this egg is good to go. If it had a bunch of wisps, I'd kind of let it, like, do its thing. But there's not really much dripping out of this. From here, we're going to go right into the water, just a drop. Just drop it right in. That's it. Simple drop. And I can do this 3 or 4 eggs at a time. Now, what you don't want to do is, because you will notice as we're poaching eggs, the natural kind of egg white is going to start to float around. It's going to get a little cloudy. So if you have too many eggs in this, you will lose track of where your eggs are. And it also could create a situation where eggs are starting to grow together, and you don't want that. So I kind of do, like in this pan, these are pretty good eggs. So they're just a little wisp.
So my cheat is to take like a mason jar lid, like the kind that have like the lip and then like that, like there's a proper name for them that I don't know, but I take out that little top
lid insert,
and I just put the ring in there, and I crack my eggs directly into that ring.
And funny enough, I saw those at H-E-B. We sell those. I believe they're kitchen table. They're little ceramic egg cookers, little metal ones.
Wait, they have actual ceramic
egg cookers? They have them.
Cookers?
We can cook them like in the restaurants where you cook like the perfect egg, like the like Egg McMuffin style.
Yeah.
You bet, man.
Man, I've been using mason jar rings for all these years.
These people at H-E-B have thought, did you see that egg almost roll off? Caught that. I just saved somebody's life. All right. So they've thought of everything at H-E-B. I'm telling you, they got everything. So this one has a little more. So you see that? We got a little more dripping on there. It's totally fine. Now, if you look at the cam up top, Rob, you can see that they're starting to set. What you need here is a spatula and a slotted spoon. That's all you're going to need for these.
They look beautiful.
I'm just going to do 3 because I've got this other water going.
Your caramel looks beautiful,
and
too.
Literally, over and over and over again. You just do this over and over and over as many times as you need to, as much as you need to. Eggs are going to go over there. Now, this water you can see is starting to kind of get. Now, my caramel sauce is getting to where there's little bitty bubbles. So I'm going to kind of turn that down a little bit more. I'm going to wipe my hand off here. So this is where I take my spatula. And in this nonstick pan, always great to use nonstick, but even you see this little wispy thing? I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of small. Those little wispy things, they'll come off. They're going to kind of do the thing. Take your spatula and very gently kind of slide under the eggs. Just to kind of, because they will stick a little bit to it, just kind of gently slide them under. You don't want to bop the bubbles. Bop the bubbles? Pop the bubbles? We'll call it bop. I could say bop the bubbles, right? That's not a terrible thing to call a bubble popping. So you see how I'm just kind of loosen them up?
Yeah.
But you see how they're not all like, they're tight, right? Because we got rid of some of those little wispy pieces by just straining it to the seed. Good tip? No?
Good tip, great tip. I've been thinking, we've been doing a lot of like egg cookery over the past couple classes, like Easter, we've made some custards. And I really think like we need to do eggs 101.
We should.
I think
French rolled omelet is really, really difficult to do. It takes
Who wants to see like egg cookery? I think that would be a really cool class.
Okay. I agree with you. I think we should. Poached eggs are going. Now, I have this liquid over here. I'm going to season this pretty heavily because I'm not seasoning the eggs at all before I cook them, but I want this awakening liquid here, the double poaching liquid, to be a little saltier because I want that to have a little bit of flavor to it. I'm going to take an egg. Again, same slotted spoon, which is hiding from me. Where are you, spoon? You can't hide from me. Where'd he go? There he is. All right. So I'm going to take these out. Now, these have been sitting in cold water, and I just took them out. Now, if somebody's wondering, how do you know they're cooked? Just watch and just pick them up. So you can see this right here. So you see my yolk is still super soft. Now, it's refrigerated, so it's kind of congealed a little bit. Into the water it goes, just enough to kind of heat it up. Now for these guys, how to tell they're done, I'm going to scoop underneath it. If you lift it out, can you see a little bit of where, see how this is still a little translucent?
Yeah.
That's not ready yet. Let it sit a little while. As soon as it looks pretty white, like these guys, like where all that translucence kind of faded away, and your yolk feels soft, you're good to go. So I'm going to take these guys. Now, if you don't like runny egg yolks, now see, you're going to break some. See, this one just broke, and that's okay. It's still kind of together, but it kind of separated. I'm going to put that guy in there. If you want them a little more cooked, just leave them there a little bit longer until it goes. Now, you see our caramel? Look in the back here.
Looking good.
See how it's all really, I'm going to turn that off because there's enough reduction. When those bubbles get really, really tight like that, lets me know that like there's not a lot of moisture left, and you're really gotten down to where there's just very little of the sugar.
Gone.
The water's all evaporated, so I'm going to move these over here so it doesn't get too hot.
You know, it's okay if the one you serve me is broken because we can just put extra hollandaise sauce on it.
Yeah, and that's another great thing, right? So the last couple classes we did Dijon hollandaise. This is a great way to reuse that recipe and use it for Mother's Day. And you're a pro at making hollandaise now, right? Because you've been practicing like every day that you watch the video, every day. All right, so from here, these are now heated. This is how you transfer poached eggs. Slotted spoon. As much water as you can get off. It's not all going to come off, but most of it will. Onto a paper towel. And I'll let those sit. These are okay being, oh, we could be so gentle with this. Look at that. Yolk is so perfect. All right, here we go. All right, right onto here to let it dry. That's all I'm going to do. Show you that. Let it sit. Again, there's enough heat in this that it'll still continue to cook it. These guys, and they're getting there. See how that's kind of going? I'm going to give it another, Charlotte, you got a timer on you?
I do now, Chef.
Will you do 1 minute? I just need
1 minute on the timer.
My eggs right here. I'll leave that out of the way. Let me just show you this since we're already over here. Let me show you I got a little, so you want to show you this before I'm going to toss it into a trash can.
Do you want me to push start? Tell me when.
Yes, start. Start it.
Okay, I get a timer.
The yolk on this, so watch. I crack the yolk. So you see how it, see that? Poaching, poaching, poaching. Little egg yolk.
Yeah.
That's how you want it, just like that. Now,
So
if you
good.
don't like that, just cook it a little bit longer until the yolk, it'll start to feel set. There's a rate. It's kind of like you're just basically, you're hard boiling the eggs slower out of the shell. That's all poaching is. It's basically just doing it in reverse. You're just kind of feeling for when the yolk is done and you're good to go. All right, I'm going to move this out of the way because that's gross. All right, the yolk's in there. Okay, those eggs need about a minute, and I'll pull them out and I'll let them sit up here with this guy. All right, now our cinnamon rolls are done, our fritters.
Your fritters.
So you see how that got all, whoop, lock that one. It was a good back kick, you see that?
I was
feel sorry for that
impressed.
later.
You're like a ninja.
Straight up.
Those
Thank
look
you.
like
Somebody finally acknowledged.
Those look like real fritters.
So right, so like they kind of like ballooned
timer,
out.
Chef,
A little
your timer.
soft. What's that? Oh,
Your
timer's
timer.
up? Okay. I'm putting these back here to cool off. Already got some done. All right. So our poaching liquid. All right, I'm gonna take our eggs out. Let's do this. Slotted spoon. Now look at this. I want to show you this real quick. All right, Rob, I'm gonna get up close and personal here. So I've got the.
Ooh, look at that jiggle.
So yeah, this is straight.
Ooh, look at that.
So I could go a little bit longer. This was the I think this is the third one I put in. This one, that's good to go. Let that have like another just 6 seconds here while I'm pulling these other guys out of here. So again, just like with everything that you're cooking, look how perfect. So again, we strained it out, so we don't have all those crazy whisks. So you get this beautiful little like nook of egg. Nook of egg? I got some good words tonight. I don't know if it works. I don't know if it works in the English language, but it works in the Scot language. All right, so a little bit of that set, so that's perfect for me. I'm going to let those go. Those can sit now. Now, if this bothers you, you can just take the little wispy edges and just cut them off to make them really, really perfect.
Now, those little wispy parts, like if you were going to fry that egg in some bacon fat, that would be the part that like bubbled up and got
That'd be the
crispy.
first piece you eat?
Yep.
I like that. All right, so we're going to turn this off. We're good to go on our eggs. I'm going to get our potatoes, since this is the one I cooled overnight. So I'm going to show this to you real fast. I'm going to show you we're going to cut this up, and then I'm going to immediately go into the fryer here.
Those cinnamon rolls, those fritters, I can smell them. That cinnamon and that peach smells
good.
so
I'm telling you, best thing in the world, right? Make it simple. All right, here we go. So with move our sheet pan here out of the way. I'm going to take our parchment. You don't have to remove the parchment. You can, but here's how our bottom of our potato looks. Don't freak out if the potato sticks a little more to it. It's totally fine. There's enough starch in that though, that it kind of holds together. Again, this is just potatoes. That's all this is. There's nothing else in. There's no binder. This is just nature's starch in the actual potato. I'm going to cut this into squares. Now, if you wanted to get all fancy and you want to cut them into like triangles or whatever,
yes, please.
you can do.
I want to see some artistry,
All right, hang on.
please.
Let's do it like this.
There we go. Yep, thank you.
Let's do a little cut in half.
Beautiful.
Now, you could cut a swan out of this. You could cut a, let's say maybe a full size, let's do a summer beaver if you want to do something like that. Like the smaller ones are a woodchuck. Like you could cut those in any shape you wanted to, really. Totally up to you. I don't want to stifle your creativity. Charlotte would probably put it in the shape.
I was just thinking hearts for mom, but whatever.
Oh,
who doesn't want a
great
heart-shaped
one.
tater tot?
See, I got all, I was thinking like you were talking like, we got to go really fancy, like start making zoo animals. We could go that fancy. All right, the oil is hot. We're going to go in with our, you know what, if we're going to make them all, let's make them all triangles.
Okay.
Why be the odd man out, right? Here we go.
Ooh la la.
Here we go. Now they're crispy potato wedges. How about that? All right, into the fryer. Fryer oil's nice and hot. The good thing is, so my fry oil, I've got it off right now. So the great thing about, and those of you that cook in cast iron know that the great thing about cooking in cast iron is the amount of residual heat or the amount of like conduction that happens in those, and they stay hot for hours. So you
Chef,
can literally, yes.
I have a question for you. And so what do you do with the oil after you shallow fry or fry? Because sometimes it's a deterrent for people. They don't want to mess with it because they got to deal with this oil. So what can we do? Like, do we just toss the oil? Do we put it in a can? What do we do with this?
So if you're really, really crazy about wanting to kind of like reuse something, you can always put it through a filter. Coffee filter, you can put it through like a really, really fine mesh filter. I mean, we sell those coffee filters that are like, not the throwaway ones, but the ones that have the really, really fine mesh to catch all the particulate. You can reuse that oil. Provided you're not frying like shrimp or whatever else and try to reuse it for something else maybe a little funky, but you can reuse oil. I mean, in restaurant fryers, you use it all day and do different applications. You can just filter it out, all the main stuff, and it would be fine.
Just let it cool and store it.
Just let it cool and store it and use it again. That's why I like to do a shallow fry, because I'm not really going to throw away that much oil. Typically, I'll just throw it in a container or in a plastic bag, and I'll either dump it in a, something and kind of like compost or whatever it is on top of whatever it is, and then just kind of leave it. But I mean, you can just recycle it. Just filter it out. I would say filter just because you don't want those particulates. If you're going to fry something, and more for a like food allergy thing. If somebody's got like a food allergy on something, you don't want to be like, oh, I was frying and I had shrimp or shellfish or whatever. Some of that stuff can still transfer, and you don't want to do that to somebody.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm going to fry this thing, and I don't know what, and I'm like, ugh. I don't know what to do.
All right,
people always ask.
Batter. That's exactly right. Pancake batter. All right, here we go. So in our K&T bowl, a beautiful borosilicate. Charlotte, what is it, borosilicate?
Borosilicate is the combination of boron with silica to make the glass, and it is like basically unbreakable. It is it creates a thermodynamic superstructure, and so basically it's really like Pyrex on steroids. Basically, you can go from hot to cold, cold to hot, without having it explode or crack. So it's a really, really durable glass.
They are amazing, and for the price you pay for one of these, it's like, forget about it.
If you've ever taken a Pyrex out of the refrigerator and put it into the oven, or vice versa, taken a hot to a cold, and heard it explode, it sounds like a bomb went off in your house.
Yep, it has happened. It actually happened to these kitchens. Can I say that without getting in trouble?
I did a duck and cover. I was like, what was that? Yeah,
because that tempered glass, it like explodes. Okay, so I'm gonna start with our buttermilk. So now I'm going to use the organic cake flour. If you want to use regular cake flour, I will say this. This recipe was tested a few different ways and is really kind of made for cake flour. If you use pastry flour, it'd make it really, really thick, because usually they add cornstarch to pastry flour. It can be different. All-purpose will probably work. You may find yourself adjusting. If all you have is all-purpose, it's fine. You may find yourself adjusting. If you're going to add anything, add a little bit of buttermilk to it. There's enough leavening in this with the baking powder and the baking soda that you should be totally fine. If you need to add a little more flour to it, if it's a little too runny, if you're using a certain kind of flour, then you can always, or a certain kind of flour that you're going to use that's not cake flour, it may be a little different. Just add or minus a couple of tablespoons. Otherwise, you may end up having to double the recipe or just start with something different. But this recipe was made with the cake flour, so I've got two tablespoons of buttermilk. That's all you're going to get, 2 tablespoons. Now, earlier we talked about if you don't have buttermilk, could you use regular milk? Absolutely. If I was going to do regular milk, I would say this is not to shame any kind of like drinking of any kind of different milk. I would use a whole milk. If your low fat is your go-to, I would say that in this preparation, with everything we're doing, you definitely want the fat from the whole milk first. So I would say do the whole milk in this, and add about a tablespoon of lemon juice, and just kind of mix it up, and you'd probably be pretty close to the same thing. If you don't like buttermilk, just use regular milk and you should be fine. All right, so buttermilk's gonna go in here, blender. So I'm the guy who doesn't like to do too many bowls. I hate to do like wets in this, dries in this, you toss them all together and you start pouring it in there. I'd rather make one homogeneous mixture using the, butter's not quite done yet, in the blender, because number one, it saves you time because you don't have to sit there and whisk everything and go crazy. As much as I do love to whisk,
yes, you do.
The blender is so much easier to use. All right, so it calls for, I've made this enough time. Again, I'm using cake flour. And we're going to do it the traditional way Charlotte showed us how to do it. You want to, you don't want to pack flour in too much because flour by volume, which is what we're doing here in a cup, is different than by weight. This is supposed to be, This is an 8 ounce, which it won't weigh 8 ounces if you tried to weigh this right now. That's why we're doing volume. So just kind of scrape it off. Just a little shake, scrape it off. Now, if you want to, I also test my recipes with the scoop method. So it's fine. So if you do it that way, I've tested it both ways and you should be completely fine. I'm going to scoop and kind of do this. So this is kind of a double. That's it. Look at that mess I made with all that flour. I made it so big and so puffy that I just made it explode everywhere. All right, the sour cream. Now, typically I like to use, cream cheese. I like to use sour cream in pancakes because I like that extra sour flavor. The cream cheese is come about because I really want to have just extra richness to this.
Okay.
Just imagine like, you know, the sour cream is going to give you acid, it's going to be a little more of that fat. There's a lot of fat in this. This is going to go with our wet ingredients. That's a ½ cup sour cream. ½ cup sour cream. I'll use my finger to get the rest of that off of there. It's going to take a quarter cup of maple syrup. Now, why maple syrup? You could just use regular sugar, but I'm going to check I can smell my hash browns over here. I want to make sure they're good. I'm going to flip these guys over.
Those little golden tater tot guys.
Flip those guys over. Boom.
Ooh.
Again, really careful with the hot oil. And again, shallow fry. Again, I'm not using a ton of oil. I'm not worried about like it kind of exploding all over me. Be really careful when opening. I'm using a big thing, so be careful around water and open frying. Obviously, you'll create big bubbles. I'm actually going to let that guy go a little bit longer on that side. All right. Those are going to stay. They're doing their thing. Quarter cup maple syrup.
Those are looking beautiful.
Why use sugar, right? If you're going to use pancakes, I feel like the sweetener in pancakes should be maple syrup because that's usually what you're going to put on them anyway.
Okay.
So may as well have that flavor running through it. That's my justification for why I like to use maple syrup instead of just regular white sugar in my pancake batter. Yes, it is going to make the pancake a little bit wetter, but if you account for it, then you're good to go. Buttermilk.
Yeah, we got the cream cheese, so I think it'll work. I'm here for it.
Right? Here's where people may get a little bit freaked out. I'm going to use 5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Most old school recipes with cookies only call for like a teaspoon. I want these pancakes to be this ethereal cake-like thing when you eat them. Ethereal.
That should be the descriptor on your menu. Also,
2,
the amount of
3,
of vanilla extract
boom.
you use in recipes is like criminal.
They're
so expensive.
Some would say excessive. Some would say just the right amount, like me. All right, I'm going to dry off my teaspoon measurement. So I've got 2 teaspoons of the baking powder. Now, earlier, Rob and I were talking about our different, like the baking powder, baking soda. I put them into 2. How many was that? 3? 2?
Yes.
Is that 3?
Well, go ahead and add one more.
Yep, just for
now
just
that's
for giggles.
4, but it's okay.
That's 3. The difference is, if you ever wonder if you're in a situation where you're finding yourself nothing has labels on it, baking soda has a grit like sand feel. It's very fine, whereas baking powder feels like powdered sugar. So if you ever find yourself going, is this baking powder, baking soda? You won't be able to tell them apart, but you can always rub them between your fingers, and if you feel that grit, that's the baking soda. All right, this just gets tossed together.
For those of y'all that don't know, Rob is our cameraman, audio engineer extraordinaire. So
he's part of the Wizards Guild because he does everything.
He did go to Hogwarts.
The jack of all trades he was. He was in Gryffindor with Charlotte. I was in, I stayed outside. I wasn't allowed in.
I wasn't Gryffindor, I was Slytherin.
Sorting hat sorted me right out the door is what that did. It sorted me. They were like, you're out of here, dude. You can't stay here. All right, 3 eggs are going to go in. I got my eggs already at room temperature here. Really, really simple. That goes in. All right, so far, what do I have? What am I missing? Anybody? I have my eggs. I have my buttermilk. I have the vanilla. I have the sour cream.
You got it all. You need
I
some
have
salt.
the butter I'm missing.
The salt and the butter, chef.
Butter, butter, butter into the blender. Now again, yes, I'm using cold buttermilk. I'm using melted butter. It doesn't make any sense. That's why the blender comes in. Now, we've said this before. If you don't have a $700 Vitamix blender, don't worry. Neither do I. I use a little Oster at home. I'm just going to use it because we have it. Turn it up.
Okay, I have a question for you, Chef.
Homogeneous mixture. That's it. All I'm looking for, one homogeneous mixture. Potatoes are frying. My poached eggs are done. What else am I missing over there? God,
You got it.
That's why you have 5 teaspoons of vanilla, because the smell is ridiculous. All right, this goes in. Now, here's my thing on pancakes. I know a lot of people are like, don't overmix them. You've heard those horror stories, like, don't overmix. You want to have, like, it's okay to be lumpy. I am the opposite. There's enough fat in this. I'm not worried about gluten formation at all. And honestly, it's not going to hurt because that's why we're using cake flour. It's a lower protein flour anyway.
Okay.
So I just beat it until it seems like there's no lumps and it seems pretty smooth and creamy. That's it.
Got it.
If you want to do the old school way, there's one time I had this happen where imagine just the box pancake mix, and I had a pancake and it was like everything was done, and then you get that piece of raw flour in your mouth and you're like, there's no good way to like. That's exactly how. It was like a flashback of. Like
I feel like I was there.
Kind of chew on like chewing on raw flour. That's always what you want.
So you're saying that fat prevents gluten formation.
Fat can help perform in gluten formation. It can. It helps in that. Like with
with
brioche and
croissants.
Stuff. That's why you have to mix the heck out of like all that stuff, right? You beat it to death.
Yes.
All right. So see that batter? Come
Beautiful.
on. Now, if you use, it is thicker, yes. If you use a different flour, this may be thinner or thicker. I used this with pastry flour earlier, and I was like, I about died. I was like, holy cow. And I'm going to show you right now. We have pastry flour that we use here, and the batter of this is a little bit different. So you see how this batter is very like, I'm just going to do it, won't matter anyway. But I would show you, this batter is very thick and kind of fluffy, luxurious. This batter is like, see that? That's the difference that flour can make, and this is just kind of like it didn't turn out well.
Oh,
same.
I feel so bad for that batter.
Good?
You made this sad face.
It is, sad face, the sad flour. Shame on you for being, no, it's fine. Hey, it'll still make a delicious pancake either way. It just won't quite rise as well or do the same kind of thing. All right, on our griddle. So we talked about this earlier, the griddle. Why a griddle? I am all for spending money on the chef-style griddle that we sell at HEB is about $19. You can sometimes get these on sale. It's great. I'm going to scrape this down while I'm talking about this. Pancakes are not pancakes without a good griddle. And if you do, now if you make yours in a great nonstick pan, fantastic. But you can still only make what, 1 or 2 at a time, maybe? On a griddle like this, you can make at least 3 or 4 and it makes it easier. At this point in the ball game here, you would have your pancakes going. I have a plate right here. You'd have an oven set to your warm temperature, and all you would do is just throw it in the warmer as you go. So here we go. Pancake. This is our kitchen table.
Are y'all watching this griddle cam?
Griddle cam. So crazy. All right, so
Look at that.
Pancakes.
Oh, it's
now,
like clouds.
Normally, if my friend Sean were here, and Charlie, you know Sean, he's like he's like our pancake guru. He would say you got to wait until you see bubbles form. Not every pancake is made the same. This pancake batter, if you wait for bubbles to form, the pancake will be black and blue. It'll be burned completely. What you want to do is just check it. Just check on it. You'll kind of see the edges will start to come up a little bit. Okay. You just kind of pull it up. It's not going to harm it if you pull it up and just kind of look at it. If anything, it sticks to it. I always have a towel ready to go to wipe it off so it doesn't stick to this whole thing. All right. I'm going to make a couple pancakes here.
And we don't oil the pan. We never oil the pan, right?
Never oil the pan. Don't oil the griddle. The griddle is nonstick on purpose. The minute you have to oil the griddle, get rid of it and buy another one, because that means it's lost all of its power. All right, let me see where we're at here.
Look at these guys.
These are looking pretty good,
Oh
man.
my gosh, they're triangle tater tots, y'all.
Look at this.
My mouth is watering.
This. All right. How much time I got left? Ready for the final plating here?
Yeah, we're ready for final plating. I'm too excited for words.
Okay, here we go. All right, I'm going to get all these out of here while my pancakes are going.
So
paper towel.
You have all this pancake batter. It's just, let's say it's just 2 of us or it's just 3 of us. What do I do with the leftover pancake batter?
You can cut the recipe in half if you wanted to.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can use them for, they keep really, really well. So if you were to, keep them in the oven, then when you got done, we usually put them in a Ziploc bag and eat them the rest of the week, just for in the morning, just heat them up in the microwave.
Okay.
I would say the microwave we've heated, as tested, I would say 20 to 25 seconds is the max. You'd want to kind of heat them up. All right, this is done. I'm going to turn this off. Hash browns go over here.
We have a question from Albert. He wants to know if he can add some sort of fruit, chopped fruit, to the pancake batter.
Yes. You would add it right now. That's when you would add this right now. As soon as it starts to get puffy, you can see a little bit of bubbles on there. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to go. Now, if you see this,
Ooh, that's
scrape
okay.
it back underneath. Scrape back underneath. It's totally fine. It'll all cook up. Scrape back underneath. Wipe your spatula off. So you can see it's kind of there. The first order of pancakes that you do are always a little bit like, you know, they're not quite, you know, as good as they are.
That's pretty perfect.
But if I were to oil I'm glad you brought this up, Charlotte. If I were to oil this griddle, I were to spray the oil, imagine that it's gonna kind of bubble up, right? And then once it bubbles, it's gonna start to like leave little marks on top of little pock marks on top of the pineapple pancake, like to buy a Val, please, Pat. Pancake is what you're looking for. So you can see like we're not quite, so like it's okay. I should have checked on it, but that's all right. Hey, you know why? Because we have 2 sides to every pancake. So we'll just crank our heat up a little bit. We'll let this cook up. But you see how they're billowing, they're big,
yes.
they're ready to go? All right,
by the way, I leave all that little business that comes out the side of the pancake because I tell myself it's like a macaron. It's like the foot of a macaroon.
It is. It's like you gotta have it, right? All right, let me put our spatula over here, and I've got our dough over here. I got a short stack of pancakes on its way. I've got my poached eggs. All right, we're gonna plate everything. This is it, folks. The final plating. Here it is. All right, the avocado in the fridge. I'm gonna get this guy out of my way here. Move him out of the way.
I'm patiently waiting for you to bring the platter of goodness over to me because
arugula salad.
Mother's Day. I'm sitting patiently.
That's right. It is your day.
It is my day.
I have a little bit of arugula that's going to go on top of our avocado toast. I'm going to have a little bit of lemon juice. This is a really simple dressing. Olive oil, salt, pepper, a little toss, and a little bit of our shaved copper kettle Parmesan cheese. A little parm, more parm, less parm? You tell me. And then, of course,
you can
salt,
never have
pepper.
too much if you ask me. But
this is where I'm going to pause and grab the basil because I told you about basil, and I don't want to make basil a liar. That'd be terrible. So basil, I'm just going to take a few of our, actually true story that I'll entertain you with while we do this. So our pancakes are never reflip. Don't ever reflip the pancake. Just check. You ready? I'm going to show it to you. Is it done?
perfect.
Good? Okay.
Yes,
It
sorry,
goes
I
on a
didn't mean
plate.
to scream in that mic.
One
I got
plate
excited.
here. One plate here. One right here. That. Boom. All right. Short stack on the side. Here we go. All right, basil. So the basil over the top, I'm going to show you the chiffonade. So we get our herbs from Patty's Herbs, a great farmer that's literally probably about 40 miles south of our main headquarters in San Antonio. Fantastic growers. We have so many great partners that we use across HEB, from everything from our meat market, meat purveyors, to our, our farmers and our just everything, our seafood mongers. We have some great people. But they're
Hey, Tompkins, I want people to be able to see this. This is a really
basil.
cool thing. Can you move that
Yes.
bowl out of the way? Thanks.
You bet I can. Did
Okay.
that help the problem?
Yeah.
Clear it out?
Also,
All right.
our camera guy, who is extraordinary, changed the angle. But
Fresh
you're
basil,
good.
leaves, lay them out, one on top of the other, just like this. Spread them out, big ones on the bottom. Biggest ones on the bottom, I should say. All pointing the same direction. Tear the little tails off them. And then put them all together. Wrap it all up tight like a little cigar. Just like Grandma used to roll the Cuban cigars, right? No? Just me? All right, here we go. So then we're going to take our knife, fingers in. So we got this nice little rolled thing. This is the chiffonade. So a really tight cut here. Just moving our fingers back as we go, and putting the knife is right against my knuckles, so I'm not really in danger of cutting myself. I'm just going to shave my knuckles, if anything. That is our chiffonade. So when we put it on top, you've just got this beautiful kind of ribbon over the top of our... And I got prosciutto. We got the good prosciutto. All right, our toast. Our garlic and our toast. The fettunta, the Italian style kind of garlic bread they would do. They take that really rustic bread out of the fire, or they would rub it with garlic. Don't skip this. It's not on the recipe. This is one of those things. This is why you're here at this class. Take these extra little things. Avocado toast. This is just our bakery fresh bread, the naturally leavened sourdough. I'm going to take our avocado, which is in here as well. Look at that. Double walking. Extra work. Let me get my steps in today. A spoon. The garlic over the top. Ready for this? A little garlic clove. Do you see the shine? Do you see that? That's like straight garlic, like essence. Just kind of just zest it across the skin, just like that. A little rub. I promise you, there's so much garlic flavor that is now into this. It's insane. All right.
So far on our menu, we're going to have ethereal cake like pancakes and avocado toast with garlic essence.
So here's our, remember this is the avocado we did earlier off the smash. I also want to show you this because I like to do it this way as well. We take another avocado really, really fast. Put our knife in here. We got a groove going. Here we go. And I'm going to cut it into quarters. So I'm going to take this one. I'm going to cut it just like that. I'm going to peel this skin right off of it. Right onto here. But wait, there is more.
This is the rock and roll way to do it, folks.
This is the way I like to do it.
You're just gonna
fork right here. You can see it on the drop cam. Just mash. That's it. Crusty mash.
That's rock and roll right there. That's it.
Okay, salt, pepper. Then we have our little salad here. We've all tossed together here. A little bit. I should lay the prosciutto. This is gonna be a very, very stacked one. I can already tell. All right, here we go. So we got a little prosciutto. Now, if you want to skip this and make it completely vegan, you can just skip the cheese, skip the, just make it just like that, and you'll be totally fine. I'm going to put a little prosciutto. This is a very thin sliced prosciutto, or HEB prosciutto. This is beautiful Italian prosciutto. And you can ask your, I asked my deli partner friend, I said, could you slice it? Like, he goes, I'll slice it as thin as I can without it coming apart. I was like, you're the man. And they will do that for you. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of this prosciutto over the top. The thing I love about prosciutto is, and getting it thin, which you can't do with a lot of other cured meats, is it's just so pliable. Like if I wanted to form this into a little doll, I probably could. I'm not that skilled, but I probably could.
Interesting.
Right over the top.
You could do prosciutto roses for Mom.
You could. Somebody a little more talented could probably pull that off, not I. All right, a little bit of this over the top. A little bit of this on the top here. Hang on.
Can I have some more parm on mine, please?
Yes, I'll get you more parm. But wait, I got to put a poached egg on this, so hang
Ooh.
on. Hang on, I got to put my poached egg when we talk about poached eggs. Here we go. I got 2 for my, this is going to see if I can keep this alive here. Bum, 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 bum.
We're in the end game now.
You're in the end game now. All right, can I pop it?
Pop. Ooh. You're going to have to turn the plate around, Chef, so we can see that ooze, please. Can you please? Yeah, thank you. Ooh.
Come on. Oozing over the side. I'm going to get our peach fritters. Oh, wait, I forgot about this.
That's kind of sexy.
Fresh basil over the top. Boom, boom. Put all this back in the thing here. I've got our peach fritters. I've got the ones I've already decorated somewhere in here. But wait. All right, this is where the kids come in. Get your frosting. You didn't throw that out, right? Hopefully you didn't eat it. You weren't like going like this. See, we're doing it. All right, a little frosting over the top. A little bit. Wow, that was so... You know what? There's not a lot of people who have as much skill as I do with putting on frosting, except probably some zoo animals. Maybe have a similar skill to me when it comes to putting frosting on these.
Stop talking about my friend that way. You did a beautiful job. This is art.
All right.
I mean, Jackson Pollock's sold.
It's always in. This kind of
Drizzle
stuff is always
paintings.
in.
I mean, you're doing great.
All right, we're going to put a couple of these bad boys on there. Avocado toast. We have our short stack of pancakes. But wait. Hang on, are you ready for this? I got to heat this up for a second. Now I have the caramel sauce, and I went ahead and sat there. I'm going to get a little bit warm so I can put it on there. This is going to go over here in the back. While I'm doing that, my plate for remember we got these little potato bricks.
I've been waiting all day for these.
I'll use better ones here.
Just stack them up, pile them up.
Stack them up, pile them up, stack them up. And I'm going to do salt, poached egg, now, the only thing this is missing is your hollandaise sauce, right? You can throw your hollandaise sauce on top of this bad boy. Or your favorite salsa. I actually, with this, the potatoes, I do love salsa on this. It's really good, or like any kind of hot sauce. Can I show you? If I can
why couldn't you put that other salad on there?
Maybe I will.
Yeah.
Dual use.
On the side. Oh!
Now, can I do this?
Look how beautiful that is.
I'm going to pull these guys out of the way. We don't need them anymore.
Tompkins.
Here we go. You ready?
That is a beautiful plate.
This is the test. Last thing before we get our caramel sauce all bubbled up. See it?
Oh.
See it? Oh, it fell down. Wait. I've got it. There it is.
Oh.
There it is. Stay. All right, there is that. The short stack of pancakes caramel sauce is coming right now. Here we go. Ready for this?
Okay.
Bubbly, hot pancakes This goes to the front. This slides over here. Come on, this is like a brunch fit for a queen like mom. Absolutely. This is sugar. This is bubbling. This is napalm hot. Be really, really careful when you put this on there.
You know what's really funny, Scott, is that in my mind, I felt like you were preparing all of this for just one mom. Like, that was it. And I was like, God, she's going to be really full. But I realize now it's for a crowd.
Pick and choose a crowd or...
But the whole time I was like, man, that's so much food for just
now,
one person.
you could, if you wanted to from here, like vanilla ice cream, whatever else you wanted, like throw all that kind of stuff on top here. You could absolutely do that. This is like, I've got so many components over here. Here we go. All right. That is it, right? So super simple. So you should have your crispy potato brick with poached eggs.
Yes.
We have our buttermilk pancakes with a maple caramel sauce.
Yes.
Our baked peach fritters, a little cinnamon roll icing over the top, and the Italian prosciutto and egg avocado toast. A little garlic on the bread, a little bit of fresh basil over the top. Super simple, super delicious. Oh, wait, I forgot this. The hot.
Oh.
And it's got a little extra richness, that egg in there, the egg yolk. Richness, richness, richness. We hope this helped take some of the mystery out of the Mother's Day cooking or anything you want to do, any kind of brunch idea. It's really, really simple. These techniques are so easy to do. Overall, it's really fun. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you want to go back, you can always go back to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/HEB. Watch any of the past episodes. Rewind, fast forward as many times as you want to. Check it all out. And you can always find this video in another couple weeks. It should be posted online. Until then, you can always go to our website, heb.com/classes, to sign up for future classes. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for allowing me to come into your homes tonight and cook with you guys. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for having me, and I will see you next time. Charlotte, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for hosting.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're awesome.
Just wanted to do a quick plug for Mother's Day that this Saturday at 11 a.m. we have a flower class. We are teaching people how to do hand-tied bouquets and flower arrangements. It's super cool, so check that out for Mother's Day.
I may have to. I need some help in that area. Big time. All right. Thank you guys so much for, we'll hang around the chat for a little bit. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much.
Bye. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.